Welcome to the NonProfit Voice Tech Series, a special edition of the NonProfit Voice podcast, hosted by Mark Becker, founding partner of Cathexis Partners and editorial advisory board member of NonProfit Pro. In each episode of this monthly installment, Mark will have conversations with prominent nonprofit organizations and industry thought leaders to learn more about different technology offerings in the marketplace. Join us, and together we will learn more about these innovative digital tools and how to navigate the rapidly evolving technology landscape.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. Mark Becker here, founding partner of Cathexis Partners, here to talk about a great topic and very timely, I think. I'm here with a couple of folks from Fisher House Foundation, Maddie Madison Bump and Andrew Caton. Maddie, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey, thanks, Mark. I'm Maddie Bump. I am the systems admin at Fisher House Foundation, overseeing our Salesforce and how it's connected to everything else we're using.
And you've been there for several years, right? Over 4?
Yep. I started right towards the end of 2016, kind of worked my way from opening mail to managing the database.
Nice. Well, that's where you got to start, knowing the details of it. So great. Well, thanks for joining today. And then Andrew.
Yep. My name is Andrew Caton. I'm the Director of Donations at Fisher House Foundation. Been here just over 14 years now, and just overseeing ultimately everything that allows our donors to interact with us and making sure they're getting the support they need and we're getting the message out we want to get out.
Yeah, and I love your message. I love your mission. For the folks that are listening that may not know about it, please tell us a little bit more about Fisher House Foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Fisher House Foundation is a military nonprofit. We build houses much like Ronald McDonald House on the grounds of VA hospitals and military medical facilities, and it provides service members, veterans, their families, a safe and respite away, when they've got a loved one in the hospital and they're far from home. It's a home away from home, and we don't charge a fee to stay there, and you don't need to worry about transportation or food because all of it's contained in that house, and there's a great mentorship program within it as well.
I love it. Great cause. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us. So you guys are in the enviable position of being on the other side of a migration, a CRM migration. And this podcast series is all about technology. So seeing that we just recently officially kind of wrapped up this project, I'm not sure if anything ever really wraps. I know you still have some accounting integration to do, but as far as the overall migration main project, congratulations, you made it. You're still standing. You're smiling, I can see, so well done. It's never an easy process, but and I also like the fact that you were kind of ahead of the curve in some ways, because previously you were on Luminate Online, Luminate CRM, and TeamRaiser, and you knew that you saw the kind of the signs were, and I think you might even heard that they were planning on retiring the platform, or it just, anything you can tell me about what made you decide to make the move?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, the retirement rumors that we'd heard led to it. I think ultimately, when we started with Luminate CRM, it was kind of, for charities and nonprofits on Salesforce, it was kind of the gold standard. And then as Nonprofit Support Pack continued to just get more resources put into it and more effort paid attention to it, it really became the superior product. And that's when we looked to, make the switch.
Nice. So, and let's talk a little bit about the process. So you knew it was time to change, or you were starting to see, that it was time to look at different options. So, we connected, again, we've been working on and off with Fisher House for probably 10 plus years, mainly on the peer-to-peer side. Yeah, I think we reconnected. Andrew, was it at a BBCon, I think, in person, a couple of years ago, and kind of continued the conversation. So looked into putting out an RFP for specifically the peer-to-peer side of things, right? You knew you liked a lot of the functionality. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but as I remember it, you liked a lot of the functionality in Salesforce and what you were seeing from the LCRM piece of things, but thought, okay, yeah, as you said, as NPSP was advancing, let's go ahead and migrate to that instead of Razor's Edge or something else. Because you also tried another CRM in the past. Which one was it before that?
We've used several over the years that I've been
Engaging
here.
networks or
no, we had gone through Charity Engine previous
Charity
to
Engine.
LCRM.
That's what I was thinking.
Before that, we had used Donor Perfect for a time. And before that, when I got there, it was originally a Microsoft Access database. So you can see,
old school.
Yeah, how we've grown over the years.
Nice. So you've tested out you've done a few of these. So yeah, and we still come across organizations on Access, believe it or not. So you were looking at, so you were, you felt very confident about the NPSP side of things, right? And then it came down to, okay, what do we do for peer-to-peer and general fundraising? And then there's also email marketing, and you all have been on Marketo for a while, and your team is really happy with that, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we ended up, going live with LCRM and Luminate Online. And just finding that Ella was a bit challenging for a digital media girl to really send out the amount of emails that we wanted to send as well. And she especially couldn't accomplish it with beta, with the Luminate beta system. So we looked at what can we do to pull this off and get it connected right into the CRM instead. Because we were also not being able to pull, offline donations or things like that into any of the triggers. So we looked at, hey, who has the best Salesforce integration? It came down to, obviously either Pardot or Marketo. And the customer service and everything with Marketo has been amazing. The first implementation was great. And then we just had to spin up a new instance for our new Salesforce instance as well for NPSP. And there were some hiccups on their end, but other than that, communication was always on point and very, very easy and user-friendly to use for sure.
So those boxes were pretty easy to check, right? Your CRM, NPSP, email, the marketing team's really happy with Marketo and it integrates with NPSP, so check and check. So that brought up peer-to-peer fundraising and okay, let's have that discussion, right? And so we did, and we had a lot of discussions.
Yeah.
Remember that process? Whole, discovery, requirements, gathering, saw a lot of demos, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, because it's important because, ultimately our goal was to get everything into Salesforce, the nonprofit support pack, where it really can give you the 360-degree view of whoever you're looking at in there. And so it was meeting our data expectations along with, we have people that run peer-to-peer fundraising for us, and then what do the donors themselves want, the fundraisers themselves want, what are the tools they're asking for? And so it's kind of, you got to strike that right balance, because there is no perfect system out there, as we quickly found. You got to figure out what is going to work best for you and how your organization wants to go about conducting themselves.
Yeah, so we put together a requirements document, with Cathexis and Maureen will be off from Meet Marine, and did demos, and your team scored all the demos, and we looked at several different products, right? And in the end, landed on Donor Drive, and have done that implementation as well, all right? And recently launched a few campaigns, I believe, and even before year end, I think they were starting to go live around the end of the year. And how are things going on the peer-to-peer side so far?
Seem to be going very well.
Yeah, I mean, the peer-to-peer fundraising aspect has gone over really well. A lot of our legacy fundraisers are super happy with the new interface and all of that. It looks amazing, you know, just in general. So yeah, the P2P part it's been working out really well. You know, we run our peer-to-peer fundraising slightly different than some other organizations. We don't host an event necessarily, or, you know, tack on to existing events. It's a lot more of a DIY go at it. So we've had to finagle some things within it to make it fit into the way that we function, but everything flows into Salesforce perfectly for their campaigns and all of that. So it's looking good.
Nice. Great. And you also have, I remember during the entire process, a big thing on your mind, Andrew, specifically was the recurring donors and making sure that you get those moved over. And that's never an easy process. And you know this from history, right?
Yeah, it's been a few times we've had to do it now. And, you know, you got to make the best you can of it. You know, I think every time we do it, you learn lessons. I think the biggest one being try to avoid it if you can.
Yeah, if that's doable, but yeah, sometimes you just have to
Yeah.
find a different solution, right? And then
Yep.
as automated as it tries to be, you know, as far as, you know, trying to move over tokens and do that kind of thing, quite often it comes down to just trying to invite people to continue with signing up with a new system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how's that looking? Are you feeling pretty good about the turnover on that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot. It was very difficult. I think more so than we kind of anticipated. We've been pretty successful. You know, got about 80% of our donors at this point turned over.
That's great.
It also opened up, you know, definitely the way, you know, some people's, you know, handle their reoccurring donations and their banking, it becomes very odd where, you know, you realize you don't actually have proper email addresses or even mailing addresses for some of these people. And, you know, we don't even know if they still have a credit, you know, is it just the credit card keeps getting automatically updated as it comes out and they just keep getting charged and they don't even realize it, or is it just no, that's how they want it and they are, you know, have gone this route to remain totally anonymous to you. And so I think, you know, it's been, you know, a blessing to be able to talk to some of our donors a little more, you know, one-on-one as we've reset them up. So there's, you know, good sides and silver linings to anything, and then there's definitely ones where it's just I don't understand what's been going on for the last few years with this, you know.
Yeah, interesting.
Mhm.
Yes. So you know, now you've come out the other side, relatively scar free. Like I said, you still have smiles on your face, so well done. Advice, you know, from the trenches, fresh from the trenches. You know, what would you advise folks that are about ready to embark on this journey?
The biggest one I would say is no matter what time frame you're looking at, add extra months to it. Do not rush yourself with artificial timelines and deadlines that you put in, and don't ever make a decision on this based upon contracts if you can avoid it. I think that's the
Smart.
biggest one. You know, every company, you know, during the sales process is going to tell you, "Oh, we can get you set up and spun up on our new system in X number of weeks," and you know, find the system that you're going to be most comfortable with and give yourself enough time to make it perfect, because you will find, you know, warts on the underbelly every system, every time. There is nothing that's perfect, and there's no reason to, you know, sacrifice something just because of artificial timelines if it can be
Yeah.
avoided. You know, so there's always, everyone's going to have, you know, different, you know, leaderships might have a different view on timelines. People in charge of the budget may have different timelines. You got to manage all that, of course, but
I like it. That's great advice. Maddie, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say be fluid. Um, being able to pivot once you hit a challenge is super important. I, ask a lot of questions. Even if you feel like it's a stupid one, it may spark someone else on the call to think of another question. And then definitely come up with several use cases that you see come up often, right? If you're in your current system, you are facing these challenges on a regular basis, put those challenges in front of this potential new vendor to make sure that the solution that they're going to be giving you is going to fix your problem, or if you're comfortable with the same problem.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, definitely having those use cases readily available as well, so that you're not kind of scrambling.
And in writing, get their, so you can, well, more to refer, not that, you don't trust anyone, but it's just more to refer back where it's, this was the problem, this was the solution as dictated, and it's written here. We can all read it. We can refer back to it. And, you can plan moving forward because of that.
Yeah. And depending on what the project is, I would get maybe in writing at least a full description of what they plan on doing, and don't run off of what you would assume the vendor would be doing in a process.
Yeah, great comments, all of that. Yeah, I mean, being involved in the entire process with you all have, you and the rest of the team that were involved in the migration process, the discovery and the decision-making process, the RFP process, all of it. You definitely knew what you wanted, knew the questions to ask, were very thorough. And despite that, there's always surprises, right? And, no matter how much you do, just like you said, be ready for the unknown and be flexible. And I think those two tips always add more time and and be flexible. I think those are key takeaways. But yeah, you guys were all over it, very thorough. And there's always going to be surprises along the way. That's part of the fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, but it's just managing the expectations is the other part to any of this,
Right. So, you have a lot of different campaigns throughout the year, but I know one that's going to be coming up again here before we know it. Believe it or not, it's only April. Of course, the other part of me is thinking, how is it already April? But already thinking about December and your fund drive. Thoughts towards that? And I think you had a pretty successful one, moving a lot of the, it's a radiothon, right? You have people call in and you're making donations and you're tracking all this in real time. At least last year you did a lot more of that online, and I think it went really well. But that was using the old system. Are you starting to shift towards the first year in a new system and all that planning, or am I not giving you a time to rest first?
Definitely, yeah. Not giving us the time to rest, to be honest. But no, it's we kind of identified very early on, some of the big things we do in December and making sure they were going to work in the new system. So we're in a good place where, we know, probably October we need to sit down and really start building the infrastructure around it. But we know, we don't have, it's no question of can it handle it? How is it going to be handled? It'll just be more of getting the data in the right places, retraining our staff, and, going from there.
Speaking of training, how is training going? How is everybody adapting to the new environment?
Good.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, there's always the couple hiccups here and there on certain light switches not getting flipped in the background. Especially when you're bringing stuff in to a new Salesforce environment. Sometimes it comes in all shut off, so you got to turn it all back on.
Yeah.
So other than that, though, I mean, I haven't gotten any jarring complaints from anybody, and they're seemingly using it. So.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, for us, as far as the peer-to-peer system go, we are hearing good things from our staff and our donors as well. And, that's what you're hoping for.
Terrific. Yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of talk through that. Glad to see, when I got the email from Matt, who oversaw the data project from our team. I got the email saying it's a wrap. That's always glad to see it, and glad to see, on the other side, have these conversations, because it all seems so daunting. I know, and it's all, what's in front of you, and still, you have a lot to do. You kept plates spinning throughout that entire process, and they're still spinning, right? But you guys are doing great stuff, and definitely appreciate you taking the time out to join us and talk through that today. Any last words? Any other final thoughts?
Just actually give you guys a plug. Something, Matt, bringing him up. For anyone out there that is, using a system like ours with Donor Drive and the Nonprofit Support Pack, you should talk with Matt and talk to Mark. They got some solutions they engineered for us that you guys are probably going to want to look to market, because for a little bit of money, you can make Donor Drive really work in Nonprofit Support Pack very well.
Oh, thanks for saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Maddie, any last words?
I mean, I'm going to piggyback off that and just say I don't think that we would have been able to do this through while also doing our end of year campaign and all of that without Cathexis. I mean, you guys were instrumental in helping keep track of the timeline so that we could also focus on our everyday stuff. So thank you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it wasn't fishing for those at the end there, but I always appreciate it. And you guys were a pleasure to work with. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because you are so bright. You know what you're doing. You've been doing it for a while. You're doing it for a great cause, and great to see you on a platform that's going to be very successful for you in the years to come. So, yeah, thanks for joining us today.
It was our pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The Nonprofit Voice. You can listen to more episodes of The Nonprofit Voice at nonprofitpro.com/podcast/the-nonprofit-voice. And remember, for your convenience, you can stream any and all episodes of The Nonprofit Voice on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify.